So I was perusing YouTube and I found this interesting video for you guys. It's by this crazy guy, older guy in Thailand, and his channel's pretty wacky. Like, I got a couple of laughs out of it. Check it out if you want to. I'll put the link in the profile, but the topic I think is really interesting. Now, I don't live in Thailand, I live in Japan, so I thought we'd talk about are Japanese women interested in older guys. And actually, I even double checked with my mother-in-law to make sure my take was on point, and we were pretty much on the same page, so I feel comfortable giving you my opinion on the subject. Also, remember to stick around in the end because I'm going to give you an insight that I have been working on in my head, which will help you better understand how Japanese people see you as a person who's aspiring to get to the level where you can get what you want here. So to answer the question off the break, yes, I think Japanese women are into older guys. You can turn off the video now and go away, unless you keep listening for the condition that's really important in that equation. Like, don't go running around being a weird older guy, hopping on a one-way plane ticket to Japan, signing up to be a passport bro at like 50 years old. It's not really that simple. There are a few conditions I think that you would need to meet if you are older and want to come to Japan and, run these streets and have your midlife crisis in Tokyo. For an older guy trying to pique the interest of younger Japanese women, of course it's looks, right? That's going to be the first thing. I have met guys, even back in the day when I was running around the streets of Tokyo, I met guys who were in their, mid 40s, older than I am now, still running around chasing tail in Tokyo. Like that's how they spent their lives. And now, that for me is kind of a little bit of a mirage, if you will, because you can keep chasing the dragon, if you will, pumping those young girls in your veins and looking for that next hit if you want to. And I have met guys, and there are guys, probably not as many foreign guys around as there were in the past, but from their 20s to their 40s and maybe even late 40s who were still, running around the streets of Tokyo, chasing girls in their early to mid, maybe even late 20s. And they were getting them, depending on, of course, the category that they were chasing, depending on the look that they had, and depending on how well they kept themselves together. But generally, they kind of knew what to do to keep themselves in the mix and keep themselves in the game. Again, I would say the oldest I met was probably like late 40s and still like out and about doing their thing as a single guy. The same, like we're like, I'm looking over my shoulder at this dude and he's like, look, yo, what's up? Like, I'm like, yo, what are you doing here? But he was single, ready to mingle. And so it can happen. I wouldn't recommend that because me seeing those things in my early 20s, I kind of was like, I don't really want to end up like that. I'm not trying to like discourage you if you do want to come here and have fun, or you are moving here or things like that. You can enjoy single life here well into your 30s and 40s, but and maybe even settle down and find love with a younger Japanese girl if that's what you're looking for. But it's not all, peanut butter and jelly, bread and toast. It's not like across the board kind of thing that all Japanese women are into older guys. Probably you'll end up like the creepy looking dude in the YouTube video, like, that gave me the idea for this. So I don't recommend it doing that way. Instead of that, I recommend you focus on what's coming next. Having a stable job or a good seishain job, I think is one really, really important way of piquing the interest of younger Japanese women here. Because, like I said, generally speaking, most Japanese women are quite marriage-minded. So even younger girls, like from mid-20s, will, hop aboard the marriage train if they hit it off with a guy and who has like a stable life, a good job, a seishain job, which you've probably heard many other creators talk about if you're perusing the Japanese related romance talk YouTubeosphere. And, that's one thing. Now, of course, many people might say the hurdle is really high and blah, 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 blah. I'll just leave that to you as an individual to figure out, for yourself, depending on what stage you are in your career, what stage, where you're going in life, and what your priorities are and interests are, and your skills and experience are. You could probably figure out whether or not you would be able to change careers, jump over to Japan, fit into a very, well-paying or decently well-paying job. And by decently well-paying, I'm not talking about six figures either. Like, I would say six figures in Japan is seen as like high spec kind of job, if you will. A lot of company presidents are making six figures, so mid, tens of thousands would be a comfortable job in the Tokyo area that would make you a suitable partner for a younger Japanese woman. It will be enough to get a house, get a car, have a stable life, and have kids, and not really worry at this age, not really quote unquote worry about funds so much. Generally speaking, life here in Japan is not as extravagant as it is in the West. Across the board, people are quite a lot more minimalist than they are in my home country, America. So you wouldn't really expect a girl to be like, I want a Benz and I want this, I want that. Not really. The average girl that you might want to kick it to. Not really. So that's not really a worry. And I say the bar is kind of lower. I'm not trying to like encourage you to do all this stuff. I'm just trying to answer the question. Now we get to, I think, the main other way to pique the interest of Japanese women. And I think if younger Japanese women, if you're an older guy, I'm down that path. I'm not doing it for this reason, but I'm going down that path, and I realize that's the path for me, which is being an entrepreneur, being a shacho, right? A middle-aged shacho, a middle-aged company president who runs a successful business, a money-generating business. I'd say in the range that I talked about earlier, maybe even higher. A six-figure company president here, even a small business, pretty much can run the table of any, let's say in his late 30s, early 40s, can pretty much run the table anywhere between 25 to however high you want to go. But yeah, you will have interest from women wanting to marry you at that level. Like not even like in a gold digger sort of sense, wanting to be a faithful, loyal partner to you. And then your problem would be actually choosing one. Of course, you could just run around the streets and be a player, if you're at that level. But basically, Japan is your oyster at that time, and you can afford to go to nice restaurants, nice bars, nice places. You're dressing nice. You have a lot of disposable income. You live in a nice, trendy area. You enjoy all of the tax breaks and things like that. That all the trinkets that you need to dangle in front of them to get, to pique their interest, and that's gonna be for me personally, like to get to the level of life in Japan that I want to get to. I realized I'd say about 10 now to be like 10 11 years ago that entrepreneurship and building a successful business is the way to go. But either you're going to be an entrepreneur with a good shine job, or you're going to be a company president, or you're just going to be running the streets like looking for whatever you can get if you're put together enough to get it. For me personally, if I was going to do this or start over, I would be looking forward to the entrepreneurship path. What's the best way, that I can do it? But again, one thing to say, no one's really going to trust your dream. Dreams don't really mean anything in this country is one thing I want you to think. Everyone's like doesn't care about your dreams. It's what you've done here is the most important thing. I was thinking about it earlier today. To summarize it, why? I think it's because, Japan is a more, it's not like people are gold diggers or whatever. You might hear some content with people who might be a bit bitter about that part of life here in Japan, but I don't take it as like people are sneaky or calculated. I just think it's a cultural difference. Like basically, the way I process it in my brain is, Japanese people historically are farmers. They're not hunters, right? So if you think about it, a farmer, is kind of knows if I put this into the soil, I'm expecting to get this result, right? They're not really going to be risk takers. Their only job is to, farm a stable crop. That's it, year in and year out. A hunter, on the other hand, takes calculated risks, and maybe those risks work, maybe those risks don't work, but you're willing to go into the uncharted territory to hunt the big game, because there's a chance you'll come back with a big old moose or water buffalo or something like that. In Japan, people, like, just from my experience, like earlier on in the beginning of talking about my dreams and my goals when I wasn't as experienced about life in Japan, I tell people, I'm going into the uncharted forest. And people are like, great, go for it. Even my partner, okay, do it. But they're only gonna be supportive of you if you come back with the buffalo. If you come back empty-handed and be like, oh, I was close to getting the big game, but next time I'll get it. It doesn't really work that way here. So I would say if you are going down that path, establish yourself, be established, and then maybe think about Japan as an option for you. But instead of just running around, splitting your energy, I'd say focus it from someone young, someone older who's going to be in Japan for the long term. Focus your energy on getting to the stage of the career where you can move and maneuver the way that you want, and then you're going to have your pick of the litter. That's going to be, my job. If women chasing Japanese poontang is really what you're into, but I'm just telling you, like, generally speaking, anything in your early to mid 20s, you can just run around the streets. But getting stuck in that mode, you're chasing the dragon. I've seen people do it. It doesn't end well, and you end up kind of bitter with a lot of stories and a lot of good stuff, a lot of good memories, but that's pretty much all you're going to end with, like a burnt out drug addict, to be honest with you. That's how I take it. That's my take on it. You can agree, disagree. Let me know with the like in the comment. I hope it helps. See you next time.